An activist who fought for the Niger Delta was hanged to death in Nigeria. Welcome to History Lane on Edu TV Nigeria. For more content on Nigerian history, click on the subscribe button. This is the story of Saro Wiwa, who fought for the Niger Delta and how he was hanged with 8 other activists. Kenule, shortened as Saro Wiwa, was an environmental activist, author, and television producer. He was born in Bori, a small town in the Niger Delta, on the 10th of October 1941. His father, Jim Wiwa, was a chief of the Ogoni people, an ethnic minority in the Delta region. He received the honorary title Saro, meaning eldest son. In the 1950s, Wiwa witnessed the initial entrance of foreign oil companies and the beginning of the extraction of crude oil in the Niger Delta region. Excelling in school at a young age, he left the Niger Delta to attend the government college in Umuahia in eastern Nigeria. On a scholarship to study English, he attended the University of Ibadan, where he received an honors degree in English. At Ibadan, he plunged into academic and cultural interests. He won the departmental prizes in 1963 and 1965 when he worked for a drama troupe. The traveling drama troupe performed in Kano, Benin, Ilorin, and Lagos, and also collaborated with the Nottingham Playhouse theatre group that included a young Judy Dench. He briefly became a teaching assistant at the University of Lagos and later at University of Nigeria, Nsukka. He was an African literature lecturer in Nsukka when the Civil War broke out. Wiwa was there when the Nigerian Civil War began in 1967, and for the duration of the war, he supported the Nigerian opposition to the Biafrans. He supported the federal government and had to leave the region for his hometown at Bori. On his journey to Port Harcourt, he witnessed the multitudes of refugees returning to the east, a scene he described as a sorry sight to see. 3 days after his arrival to Bonny, it fell to federal troops. He and his family then stayed in Bonny. He traveled back to Lagos and took a position at the University of Lagos, which did not last long as he was called back to Bonny. Despite his opposition to the Civil War, Wiwa was appointed administrator of the oil depot at Bonny Island in the Niger Delta in 1968. In 1969, he became the regional commissioner for education in the Rivers State Cabinet, but was dismissed from his position in 1973 after he began calling for autonomy for the Ogoni people. His writings became increasingly political, bringing national and international attention to the Ogoni struggle. During the mid-1980s, we were primarily concentrated on writing, publishing, and television production. His first book, Soldier Boy, a novel in rotten English, published in the year 1985, was a fictionalized account of the corrupt Nigerian army during the Civil War. It tells the story of a naive village boy recruited to the army during the Nigerian Civil War of 1967 to 1970, and intimates the political corruption and also patronage in Nigeria's military regime of the time. In 1989, he released his war diaries in a book titled On a Darkling Plain. This book documents his experience during the war. He wrote two novels that explore the position of women in Nigerian society, Adaku and Other Stories, published in 1989, and Lemona's Tale, published posthumously in 1996. Wiwa additionally tried his hand in television. He produced the popular series called Bassi and Company that ran from 1985 until 1992. This series was popular with an estimated audience of 30 million, but was cancelled by the military dictatorship. In the early 1970s, he served as the Regional Commissioner for Education in Rivers State. In the late 1970s, he also established a number of successful business ventures in retail and real estate. During the 1980s, he concentrated primarily on writing, journalism, and television production. In 1977, he became involved in the political arena, running as a candidate to represent Ogoni in the Constituent Assembly. He lost the election in a narrow margin. It was during this time he had a fallout with his friend Edward Kobani. His intellectual work was interrupted in 1987 when he re-entered the political scene, having been appointed by the newly installed dictator Ibrahim Babangida to aid the country's transition to democracy. But he resigned because he felt Babangida's supposed plans for a return to democracy were disingenuous. His sentiments were proven correct in the coming years as Babangida failed to relinquish power. In 1993, Babangida annulled Nigeria's general election that would have transferred power to a civilian government, sparkling mass civil unrest and eventually forcing him to step down, at least officially, that same year. By the early 1990s, Wiwa shifted his focus from literature and television to issues of human rights and environmental preservation, particularly in his home region, Ogoniland, the center of crude oil extraction by multinational corporations operating in Nigeria. He established and led the movement for the survival of Ogoni people, which is called MUSOP, and relatedly the campaigns against the Royal Dutch Shell Company, demanding that the company share the profits of oil extraction. In January 1993, Wiwa and the MUSOP led a series of peaceful marches in which an estimated 300,000 Ogoni people participated. For the first time, the marches drew significant international attention to the plight of the Ogoni. After a series of arrests in 1992 and 1993, Wiwa was among 9 Ogoni human rights and environmental activists who were tried in a kangaroo court by the military government of General Sani Abacha and hanged on November 10, 1995. The Royal Dutch Shell Company was implicated in the execution of Ken Saro-Wiwa, and on June 8, 2009, the company agreed to a settlement of $15.5 million, ending a series of lawsuits that accused it of financing and providing logistical support for the execution. Despite the settlement, Shell denied any connection to the death of Ken Saro-Wiwa. The names of the 8 activists hanged with Wiwa are Saturday Dobe, Nodu Awo, Daniel Gboko, Paul Levara, Felix Nwat, Barry Bobera, Barinem Kyobe, and John Quinn. He was married to Maria and had 5 children, who grew up with their mother in the United Kingdom while their father remained in Nigeria. His children include Ken Wiwa and Nusaru Wiwa, both journalists and writers, and also Nu's twin sister called Zina Saro-Wiwa, a journalist and a filmmaker. In addition, he had 2 daughters with another woman called Sinto and Adele. He also had another son, Kwame Saro-Wiwa, who was only 1 year old when he was executed. The Ken Saro-Wiwa Foundation was established in 2017 to work toward improved access to basic resources such as electricity and internet for entrepreneurs in Port Harcourt. The association funded the Ken Junior Award, named for Saro-Wiwa's son, Ken Wiwa, who died in October 2016. The award is presented to innovative startup technology companies in Port Harcourt. The governor of Rivers State then, Ezenwo Nelson Wike, renamed the Rivers State Polytechnic after Saro-Wiwa. Amsterdam also named a street after Saro-Wiwa, which is called the Ken Saro-Wiwa Street, among others. His death provoked international outrage and the immediate suspension of Nigeria from the Commonwealth of Nations, as well as the calling back of many foreign diplomats for consultation. The United States and other countries considered imposing economic sanction. Don't forget to click on the like button. You can also comment down below and share this video with your loved ones. This is Edu TV Nigeria.